Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be talking about, a couple of things. One is the results for MLW Intimidation Games, which looked like it was a great card, but also recapping the week that was in pro wrestling. And boy, oh boy, it was some humdingers. So first, let's get into the results for MLW Intimidation Games, which was actually in New York last night. Had a heck of a card, as our first match, it's for the MLW Middleweight title, as Mystico from CMLL defeats Rocky Romero. So, first big title change of the night, kind of spoiler alert. The Calling, that's Ricky Shane Page and Sami Callihan, defeat Akira and Jake Christ, whatever his name is, in a New York City street fight. Alex Kane defeated Bobby Fish by referee's decision. So, kind of an MMA rules type match, I guess. The World Titan Federation, that's Filthy Tom Lawler and Davey Boy Smith Jr., beat the Second Gear Crew, that's Matthew Justice and one called Manders, for the MLW Tag Team titles. Matt Riddle beat Bad Dude Tito for the New Japan World Television title. Janai Kai beat Zoe Cannon by ref's decision. And if Cannon could last in a match where if Cannon could last 5 minutes with Kai, they would have won $5,000, which would have been pretty good. And finally, our main event, and it's for the MLW World title, as Satoshi Kojima retains against Minoru Suzuki. Oh, that was probably a hard-hitting bout. So, looks like MLW is going to be coming back with Fusion pretty soon. I think it was March 14th, so expect that back in the rotation coming soon. So, that was MLW Intimidation Games. We now move right into our weekly review, where we start with Monday Night Raw. And I know it's been a while since I covered Raw, but here we are. We start out, Dominic Mysterio is in the ring. He brings out Rhea Ripley. Sorry, Dom. Which leads into Rhea Ripley promo, where she pretty much says, look, I walked in as to Elimination Chamber as champ. I walked out. It was the time of my life. And it's just proof, no matter how big you are, I will always be on top. This brings out her WrestleMania opponent, Becky Lynch. And she starts out, look, I'm not out here to start anything. I just want to say congratulations. We both had a really great night on Saturday. And everyone was there to share in your victory. But good thing they won't be coming to Philly to watch me beat you. And then Dom starts to speak up. He gets booed, of course. And then Becky says to him, look, if Rhea isn't going to put you in your place, Dom, then maybe I will. So, then Becky continues, look, I've been the face of the company. I've been the backbone of this division. I've done it all. And then Rhea interrupts. Please, never disrespect Dom like that again. And Becky, you've got to stop disappointing me and get on my level. The man always thinks they are the backbone of everything, but behind every great man is a great woman. Which, great line from Rhea. But then something interesting happens. From behind Becky Lynch, Nia Jax attacks her, hitting a bunch of leg drops and and Annihilator. That's a fucking tongue twister. Until officials come out and stop it. We then go to backstage where it's Nia Jax. She runs into the interviewer, pretty much saying, look, this is obviously a travesty. I should be the one fighting for the world title at WrestleMania. And tonight, whatever I did to Becky Lynch, that goes double for Liv. Liv, run. All I'm going to say. So our first matchup of the evening feels like we've seen this a dozen times before. But honestly, I don't think it's getting old. Like, I could watch these two fight all day. It's Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura. And if you actually remember, Sami Zayn was Shinsuke Nakamura's first match in NXT. So these two got some history, which is always great. This match was absolutely great. Like, really good back and forth matchup. Sami at one point catches a Kinshasa attempt right into a beautiful blue thunder bomb. Nakamura then hits a Kinshasa from the second rope, but that only leads to another 2 count. And then Nakamura has the Kinshasa set up. He misses right in the corner. He gets up. Helluva kick from Sami Zayn to pick up the win. And that was a great bout. I'm glad Sami Zayn's back in the win column. And I think I know what they're going to be doing for him at WrestleMania. Sit tight. So, next matchup, we got the women's division. It's Chelsea Green versus Raquel Rodriguez. Before the match starts, Chelsea Green has a microphone, says she's issued a complaint with WWE management, and tonight I'm wrestling under protest. I would have won that battle royal if Raquel didn't get in my way. And she went on to the chamber to be the biggest loser. And tonight, I'm going to prove why she's a big loser by kicking her out. And that brings out Raquel Rodriguez. And then we start with Wile E. Coyote shenanigans, in which Green gets out of the ring, runs around it so Raquel could give chase, get back in the ring. Green tries to pull some offense, but it's no good. Raquel with a big old clothesline, couple fall-away slams, and a Tejana bomb to pick up the win. I don't know what they're going to do with Raquel going forward. Maybe they team her back up with Liv. I honestly don't know. So, next up, we got a backstage Sami Zayn interview. Says he needed that win more than anything. This match has been on my mind all week. And what a loss in this match could have done. But that win reaffirmed my belief. And I'm going to go out and find a route to WrestleMania. Then as he says that, in comes Imperium. That's, at least so far, Kaiser and Vinci. They pass him. In comes Gunther, who has a little stare down with Sami. Yes, please. Give me Sami Zayn versus Gunther. That match would be awesome. So then we're backstage once again with a Cody Rhodes interview. Hey! Saying tonight, there's really no strategy going in. I just want some payback. I've seen what Waller has said on social media. I thought he liked me. And welcome to your very first Raw main event, kid. So that's going to be later, so sit tight for that. Next, we got an in-ring promo from Gunther, who is surrounded by Imperium. saying, after defeating Jey Uso last week, I am still the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion. But I'm going to be honest, Jey obviously had me beat. I got very lucky. And while no one's perfect, I am very, very close. And now I'm going to address my future. And I've been putting all my time into making the Intercontinental title prestigious. Who is going to be my opponent at WrestleMania? And while no one lives under the rock, here are the claims I have heard. Sami Zayn, Chad Gable, Miz, and I can't believe this has even been talked about, R-Truth, Big Pop. And this brings out an unexpected group as the Judgment Day come out, being led to the ring by Damian Priest, Senior Money in the Bank. Calling him Big Bad Gunter. Don't sweat it, man. You're second to none. But with Judgment Day on top. You've been running the table. But Judgment Day want to add more gold. You understand? We want the Intercontinental title. And don't worry, I'm not cashing in. Which, thank goodness. Then Gunter replies, alright, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Balor? Is it going to be that big-headed guy over there? And then Dom steps up. Pretty much saying, when we say something, we're going to be doing something, we mean it. It's only a matter of time, because that title belongs to us. Then Gunter just kind of pushes Dom away, and Priest is looking for a fight, and the rest of Judgment Day hold him back. So, we do have at least a couple other contenders for the Intercontinental title. Maybe Priest. Could be Dom, in which, no. So then, we're backstage with the Judgment Day. They're kind of walking around. They run into Rhea Ripley, who is actually their leader. Pretty much asking, really? You're picking a fight with Gunter? Don't worry about it. I got some business to take care of. Rhea leaves, and then Dom kind of goes off on his own. Camera follows him. Goes face to face with Andrade. Pretty much saying, look, I know we at Judgment Day have business to take care of, but you've always got a home here. And then Andrade pretty much says, well, I obviously need my first opponent for WWE. What do you say? Dom says, yeah, maybe. Alright, I'll go to Adam Pearce. I'll see you soon. So, Andrade finally wrestling. It's about dang time, because he's a good wrestler. Next up, oh boy, it is a street fight. And it's Imperium, that's Giovanni Vinci and Ludwig Kaiser, taking on Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods of the New Day. And they threw everything but the kitchen sink at one another. It was kendo sticks, it was tables, they got the announce table, trash cans. At one point, Kofi takes a beer from a fan and throws it into Kaiser's face, which I love stuff like that. Eventually, finish comes with Kofi looking for a crossbody through a table on Vinci. Kaiser dumps him off the top rope into a table set up earlier ringside. Through the table. Then Xavier Woods gets tossed into a chair into a corner. And your winners via the roll-up, Imperium. It's definitely good to see the Imperium boys get a win. As much as I love the New Day, in which, New Day rock. I am super glad that Imperium got a win. Hopefully that means they're getting a tag title opportunity soon. Fingers crossed. Then we go backstage. We get Adam Pearce on the phone. He's talking to Braun Breaker, another potential challenger for Gunther. And then in comes Master Chad Gable. Pretty much recapping his history with Gunther, saying, I had a hell of a bout with Gunther for the Intercontinental not long ago. I'm gaining momentum for Mania. I'm coming here not just as a competitor, but as a father. Because if you remember, the last time Gunther and I fought, he reduced my daughter to tears. The match wouldn't just be about the title for me. To me, it just means more. Oh my goodness. WWE putting that personal touch on this rivalry? Ooh, I would not mind Chad Gable getting in there. And potentially dethroning Gunther? Yeah, I honestly, this Intercontinental title reign division feels honestly really stacked. I cannot wait to see who faces Gunther at WrestleMania. Next up, this very strange matchup, as it's the women's tag team match. It's Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark taking on Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, in which the match itself wasn't bad, but it just it was heatless. Like, that crowd was quiet for that match. And Shayna wins with a surprise Karafuda clutch. And yeah, it was I kind of get what WWE are trying to do here, and they've done a great job getting an actual division set for the women's tag titles. I don't know if this was the way to go building that. Like, I don't know what they're going to be doing for WrestleMania either, but I guess we'll see. We then go backstage, and R-Truth's hanging out in the Judgment Day lair. He's kind of just got his old shirt in his hands. And then in comes Miz, who earlier in the day was stuck in a room backstage, which, that's a little sad. And he's joined by DIY, aka Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. R-Truth says, yeah, Judgment Day aren't here, so I'm not worried. Miz then goes, look, you're always the man who's cheering us up, so we're going to get you something to cheer you up. Now, are you ready? Truth says, what? I said, are you ready? And then Truth, with the biggest shit-eating grin, pretty much saying, oh, I get it. You're trying to regenerate something. I got it. Let's go. They all leave. So, it looks like we're getting a Truth, Miz, and DIY stable, in which, I don't know, Regeneration X? That kind of sounds really cool. And gives, DIY something a bit more. We then go back to the ring. We get a Drew McIntyre promo, in which initially he does get cheered, but we'll get into this one. With Drew saying, we did it. And I just want to take a moment to thank you. You've all been praying hard for this, and because of you, this happens. And while right now I feel like hell, because in the chamber I was the first man in, last one out, I have a burst eardrum. After the match, I talked to the doctor, who says, you may not make it for WrestleMania. I took a look at him, and I told him, who do you think I am? CM Punk? In which that gets a chorus of boos. He then goes into what I like to call the pipe bomb position, aka folded legs, Indian style, sitting in the mat, kind of like Punk during the pipe bomb promo. If you've never seen that, go check it out. It's something else. And Drew continues, Punk, it must hurt you to not be at WrestleMania. I'm about to do something special just for you. So, I know you're straight edge, so after Elimination Chamber, I drank twice as much for both of us. And then he calls out Seth Rollins, in which he comes out, big pop. Seth congratulates Drew. And this time, you got the opportunity to do what you want. You're going to win the title in front of the biggest crowd ever. And there's one thing standing in your way. Me. Drew retorts, you're right. Beating you is not going to be an easy job. But you've been so hard on yourself lately. You don't need to do this in your life. I need you at 100% for WrestleMania. We need you here on Raw. When I become champ, I don't care what SmackDown does. I don't care about the Bloodline situation. You know what the Bloodline is going to do in our match. They're going to taint my victory. And I ask you, for our sake, back off the Bloodline. And Seth retorts, I respect everything you just said. But some risks are worth taking. Everything you've just said, I've thought about. You might be right. My body might not be ready. The Bloodline might run through me. And it might be an easy night for you. But what if you're wrong? I've been selfish in all of my life. I thought gold would fill that void. But I felt nothing but empty until I had my daughter. And I realized not everything is about me. Taking down the Bloodline is bigger than us. It doesn't matter who the champ is at the end of the night. The Bloodline wants power. But what if my body's ready? What if we rip the Bloodline apart? Because if we can do all that, it's just you and me at WrestleMania for this title. And may the best man win. Oh, I'm going to say this. That is the most fired up I've seen Seth Rollins in a while. I don't know what's going to happen with the Bloodline stuff at WrestleMania. But it does seem like Seth and Cody have a plan. So, fingers crossed. Next up, a very competitive matchup as we have Nia Jax taking on Liv Morgan. Liv right on the attack right away, but as soon as Nia gets her bearings, big old Samoan drop, including a stink face, in which never seen Nia do that. Liv tries to fight back. Nia with a stretch muffler, in which she's doing that really, really well. Goes for the leg drop. Misses. Liv back on the attack. Goes for a code breaker. That gets caught. But then Liv hits a code breaker from the top rope, which that was impressive. But that only gets a 2 count. Nia misses the splash. Hits a Samoan drop into the ring post from the outside. But then in comes Becky Lynch, who attacks Nia. So your winner by DQ is Nia Jax. I don't love that. Like, I would have liked to seen a winner between these two, but I don't know. Then Becky and Nia brawl for a little bit, and Becky clotheslines Nia Jax over the top rope. We then go backstage for an interview with Grayson Waller, with Waller recapping what happened in Australia, saying Cody disrespected me at my home. I'm going to start what the Bloodline started. I'm going to start something that the Bloodline will finish at some point. He'll never finish his story. Ooh. Grayson Waller with them fighting words. We then get Becky Lynch talking in the back with Adam Pearce. Becky wants a match with Nia next week. Wants to fight Nia Jax again. Adam Pearce replies, How's about next week? Okay. Then we see Becky Lynch leaving Adam Pearce's side, runs into Liv Morgan, who says to Becky, I had something going on out there, and not everything is about you. And ooh, a Liv Morgan heel turn might be something Liv needs, because I don't know, she's a little, I don't know. I don't want to say anything that'll get me in trouble. We then get a Jey Uso interview, who says, I'm going to keep doing me. Last week, I came this close to winning. I came close to finishing. I fall short. Whether it's guys from Raw or my own family, and then Drew McIntyre's in. Drew then says, I'm in a good place now. I know what you're going through, and you deserve this. And then Jey Uso with the biggest smack to the face, and then they brawl, with security looking to break it up. So we'll see about Drew versus Jey Uso. We then go right into our main event match, which we'll get to that after-match stuff, as Grayson Waller takes on Cody Rhodes. And honestly, this was a very, very competitive matchup, although not super long, which, not surprising. Near the end of the match, Waller goes for the rolling flatliner, in which they changed his finisher, I guess, from the rolling stunner. Cody with a cutter and a crossroads to pick up the win. Now, here's something interesting. Before this match, during the Grayson Waller interview, if you look in the background, you see Paul Heyman crossing a path. So, of course, everyone on the internet is like, oh, Paul's there, Paul's there. And they talk about it during this matchup. And then who comes out with the microphone? It's Sir Paul Heyman. He has his suspended cop entourage, whatever that is. And then Cody Rhodes gets a chair and a microphone. He says, I don't care who you are. If this is a bloodline setup, come and get me. Then Paul reveals, the only member of the bloodline here is me. These guys are my friends from the NYPD. They have all been temporarily suspended, but that's a different story for a different night. I've come here to understand you're embarrassed about getting slapped by The Rock, but you need to take The Rock's name out your mouth. You're not going to get that match with The Rock like that. We all had the match with Rock Roman at WrestleMania that you ruined. And I am pleading you with everything that I have, withdraw that challenge from The Rock, or else. Cody retorts, or else what? Why I didn't trash talk The Rock before? We were all fans of The Rock. But now I'm fed up in being nice. If this is a bloodline setup, come and get me. Paul Heyman and his entourage step closer. The NYPD guys step into the ring. Cody gets back on the mic. I'm going to make this clear. If anyone else takes a step closer to me, I'm dropping everyone here. And then Paul gets on the mic. Except for me, right? Goes to get in the ring. Cody says, wrong. And starts swinging at everybody. Taking out the cops. And then Paul Heyman pulls out his bat phones for not only Roman, but for The Rock. So he's dual calling both these guys. In which, that is a ridiculous visual. Like, if you're going to call him, just use three-way calling. Like, dude, it's 2024. That's a thing. Cody then gets on the mic, says, call them all you want. Because now, the bloodline isn't hunting me. I'm hunting the bloodline. And then he goes back to smashing the cops with the chair to the end of the show. Oh boy, this is going to be interesting. Road to WrestleMania. I can't wait to see what Cody Rhodes does. Because tonight on SmackDown, Cody, Rock, and Roman are going to be in the arena. Ooh. Does Cody have a plan? Is he going to set up in his invasion? Are the Cody Avengers going to invade SmackDown? Time will tell. So, that was Raw. A very entertaining show. Going to be interesting to see where the story goes from here. And if we're going to get that tag team match with Rock, Roman, Seth, and Cody. Although, apparently there are a couple of plans in place with that. So we move from WWE Raw to NWA Power, which it's good to have these guys back. I do like Power, and we start off with Blake Troop taking on Joe Alonzo. And yeah, you'd think this would be an uneven match, and for the start it kind of was, but then Joe Alonzo start targeting Blake Troop's leg, which, very smart for Mr. Alonzo. Eventually he goes for the dice roll, but that gets caught. Roll through on a roll up. Super kick. But then Blake Troop with a big kick and a bulldog choke for the submission win. So, Blake Troop back on track. Hopefully there's some interesting plan for him, which, fingers crossed. We then get an interview with not only Austin Idol, but also Zion and Anthony Andrews, in which Idol pretty much hyping up his team, saying we're big leaguers, we're a box office attraction, and we're going to continue this as long as possible. We then get Anthony Andrews on, pretty much saying, you've replaced me with your little brother, but just like everyone else, we're going to ride. So, Anthony Andrews ready for that tag match later on. We then go to a very interesting matchup as we got Magic Jake Dumas taking on Alex Misery. And I'm going to say this. While there were moments of a little bit of sloppiness, this match was a whole lot of fun to watch. We got the power from Magic Jake, the almost Darby Allin-like daredevilness of Alex Misery, in which at one point we get a big senton off of the guardrail to the floor, which that was crazy. They keep fighting. They both beat the 10 count. Misery goes for the Hurricane Rana. That gets caught into an abracadabra. And then a moonsault for the win for Magic Jake. Honestly, very entertaining matchup. Going to be interesting to see what they do with this guy. Now, next up, we got tag team action. As it's the Country Gentlemen, that's KC and AJ Kazana, taking on Zion and Anthony Andrews. And this match was a whole lot of fun. Casey did start and he got his butt kicked early on. Eventually he did get back into this match. Eventually getting his brother in for a couple of hard shots. But eventually at one point Austin Idol gets up on the apron. But then the Kazana's father knocks him off the apron. And then a roll-up by Anthony Andrews to pick up the win for his team. I'd say this feud probably isn't done. And we are going to see what happens in the near future. We then finish up NWA Power with the women's tag team titles on the line, as Pretty Empowered defend against the King Bees. This is not the first attempt from the King Bees, as they pretty much got screwed out of a title match after Kenzie Page interfered in a match. And this was definitely a really, really good tag team match. A lot of really good back and forth. And then eventually we got the hot tag to Miss King, who runs shop, including some big old Samoan drop. Ella Envy with a Shining Wizard, only for a 1. And then we got the King's Kiss for the winners and new NWA Women's Tag Team Champions, the King Bees. Congratulations to you both. Y'all deserve it. And yeah, that was NWA Power. A very entertaining night of pro wrestling. Definitely interested to seeing what happens with them going forward. And we finish up this week in wrestling with AEW Dynamite. And we start off with a Hangman Page promo in the ring. He came out with a crutch, limping his way to the ring. With Hangman kind of starting off babyface, saying like, some things have been different from me. I've risen to the top. I won the title in 2021. The biggest accomplishment in my career. And I've had that opportunity taken away from me like this. That 3-way match was BS. It had the wrong 2 competitors. I'm not apologizing to Joe and Swerve, but I won't be able to compete at Revolution. This brings out Swerve Strickland, pretty much saying, these last 6 months has been a war between us. We've tried to kill each other. I invaded your home, but I didn't expect this. I had respect for all of your accomplishments, but you cannot escape fate. And I face my destiny on Sunday. This brings out the champion, Samoa Joe, pretty much saying, Destiny, look at these 2 bitter enemies trying to hug it out. And I'm going to rip you a few truths. Y'all have been avoiding me. It's proof who the real man is here. And I hear all about you hungry contenders. You're not just contenders. You're hungry, accomplished wrestlers. And I've been starving you. And you're so hungry because I've been starving you holding this belt. And that Revolution, I would have whooped both your asses. Joe goes to leave. Then Swerve on the mic, saying, look, I went to free agent, from free agent to main eventer. I went to another man's home and threatened his child. I'm going to beat you so bad at Revolution, I'm going to make you go back to wearing a poncho on commentary. Low dig at Samoa Joe for WrestleMania 37, I want to say that was. And then as Swerve is kind of gloating, Hangman Page picks up his crutch, clocks Swerve in the back with it, pretty much saying, I'm not going to let you win that world title on Sunday. So, big Swerve for Revolution. So, three-way seems to be on. We then get earlier on with the Young Bucks arriving at the arena. They then walk in right into Renee Paquette. Pretty much asking, have you seen Sting yet today? It is his final Dynamite tonight. And all we want to do is see him and thank him, but also conduct his exit interview in which they reveal their white bats. So, I think we all know what that means. We then get into our first match of the evening, and it's a trios match as FTR and Eddie Kingston take on Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, and Claudio Castagnoli of the Blackpool Combat Club. And this was just utter wrestling bliss. You can feel these guys, all six of these guys just have, great hatred for one another. At one point, the entirety of the Blackpool Combat Club had one of their opponents either in sleepers or a hammer and anvil elbows. Eventually, they all break out of those moves. FTR with a shatter machine, Moxley with a DDT, Kingston with a brainbuster, which haven't seen him pull that out, and then Danielson with a Busaiku knee. Dax Harwood trying for a suplex, then hits then Danielson with another Busaiku knee into a bunch of stomps, right into a triangle choke, which, dang, for the submission victory for the Blackpool Combat Club. We then go backstage for a backstage interview with Chris Jericho. Actually, before that, we see a little bit of a hype video with Jericho versus Atlantis Jr., in which we find out while Jericho was in Mexico, Atlantis Jr.'s father actually was a rival and mentor to Chris Jericho. So that's pretty neat. Anyway, we then get that Chris Jericho interview saying 30 years ago when I started in wrestling, the promotions threw me into the deep end with all kinds of legends of the ring. And when AEW started its relationship with CMLL, I wanted to face Atlantis Jr. so I can show what I can do. So, little explanation for that match. We then go into an in-ring interview with AEW's newest signing. It's Will freaking Ospreay. And it's so great to see him full-time for AEW. Ospreay saying, I don't want to take too much of your time. My obligations with New Japan are done. Then I took some time off, hung out with the missus. I come here earlier today. Delta lost my bags, but I eventually got them, and I am here full-time for work. And you all forget, this has not been my first rodeo in AEW. I've beaten Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho at Wembley. I'm used to this. I'm going to pick up where I left off. And that brings out the rest of the Don Callis family. That's Don Callis, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Takeshita. Don Callis gets on the microphone saying, There's nothing I like more than a Don Callis family reunion. And I think about all the talent we have. We have an embarrassment of riches. How do I top these? By not having just match of the year, but match of the decade. These are two of the best in the world. And people have been asking, why would I pit two members against my own family against one another? This is like when Jordan and Pippen would go hard against each other in practice and come together to win gold. Then Ospreay gives Hobbs a little pound. And then Takeshita and Ospreay shake hands. And they bring it in to one another with the crowd chanting, Ospreay, Ospreay. And then Don Callis is like, Ospreay and Takeshita. I'm sorry, I love Don Callis. He's a great smarmy heel. And I can't wait until he gets slapped one of these days. Anyway, we then go for an Eddie Kingston backstage interview. But before he can begin, the Young Bucks slink in, asks, has anyone seen Sting? Sorry, we've got a bone to pick. Why don't you dress like a champion? You're always in these sweats and jeans. Well, next time, it's going to be fine. It's time for you to work on your presentation. Maybe it's time for AEW to implement a dress code. Ooh, no thanks. So, kind of taking some digs at WWE, that's definitely fine. Next matchup, and it's for the AEW International title, as Orange Cassidy takes on Nick Wayne, who has, Christian Cage, his mother, and Killswitch ringside with him. And, oh boy, this was a really, really fun matchup. A lot of really good back and forth. At one point, Orange Cassidy was on the top, going for whatever it was, when Christian knocks Cassidy off the top rope. The ref then sees it and throws Christian, Mama Wayne, and Killswitch from ringside. Matchup continues with some really, really good action. Nick Wayne misses, ducks an orange punch, but then rolls right into a beach break for only a 2 count. But then this brings out Matt Taven and Mike Bennett on the Kingdom. Orange Cassidy sees them, but out comes Rocky Romero and Trent Beretta of the Best Friends. They fight the Kingdom off. Then all of a sudden, Daniel Garcia comes out, is on the apron, stares down Nick Wayne enough to distract him for an orange punch from Orange Cassidy to pick up the win. So he's still your still international champion. Post-match, Roderick Strong comes out, attacks Orange Cassidy post-match. That match at Revolution is going to be awesome. I can't wait. We then go backstage for an interview with the Acclaimed and Bullet Club Gold, with Jay White saying, look, we've had our problems, but now I'm all in with this group. And then Austin chimes in, how about this coming Saturday we get Austin Gunn and the Acclaimed as a team? We see Max Caster kind of in the back going like, what? And then I forget who it was. I think it was Anthony Bowen saying, look, I got a better idea. Why not the Acclaimed and Austin Gunn on Collision? And everyone's like, yay. I'm sorry, as much as I do like this group, it's really going nowhere. Like, I was kind of hoping this would lead to an eventual betrayal for Bullet Club Gold, and then they would gain the AEW Trios titles. But I don't know. I guess it's going to go on for a little longer. I guess we'll see what happens. Next up, we got Chris Statlander taking on Sky Blue in what was a very, very awesome matchup. A lot of, definitely a lot of really, really good back and forth. And then at some point, we do see when Sky Blue gets knocked off the apron, Julia Hart to check on her, which don't really see her showing emotions. I kind of dig that. Then, while Stokely Hathaway and Willow Nightingale are talking to the ref, trying to get the match back on track, Julia Hart comes in, hits Statlander with the TBS title, gets out of the ring. Sky Blue with the code blue to pick up the win. So, definitely a really good win for Sky Blue. Hopefully Julia Hart's healthy enough to defend her title soon. We then go backstage. We got the Young Bucks right outside Sting's locker room. They call Sting out of his mind. And you guys ready? They bust down the door, go into Sting's locker room, and we see just a bunch of black bats hanging from the ceiling, a la Sting's original final interview from WCW, which, nice little touch from AEW. We then go into our main event match for the evening, as it's Chris Jericho taking on Atlantis Jr. And I'm going to say this was Jericho's best match in his late career in AEW. Definitely a lot of good stuff from Atlantis Jr. too. Like, he is... I was definitely not familiar with him when this match was announced. I definitely want to watch more Atlantis Jr. matches. End of the match comes with Jericho in the torture rack from Atlantis. Jericho counters out of it and into a lion tamer, in which Atlantis Sr. then throws in a towel for the match end. So, your winner, Chris Jericho. And I'm going to say this, a towel finish. Don't really see that much in wrestling anymore. So, Atlantis Jr. is checking on his son. Jericho is helping him up. They all raise their arms, celebrate together, and then we see an embrace from Atlantis Sr. and Jericho. So, nice little moment from two former rivals / friends. And final note, we got the Young Bucks out. They got their drip on, they got their bats, and they're walking around the arena, and Nicholas passes by a few fans with some Sting masks on. And one by one, he's kind of flipping the mask off. One fan, who was a little bit in the back, then comes forward, strike right to Nicholas. It's revealed to be Darby Allin, who then starts a fight back from the Young Bucks. They get in the ring, and the Young Bucks start battering him with bat shots, hit an EVP trigger, and then they bring out Ric Flair, which, alright. They give Flair a baseball bat, hits an eye poke to Nicholas, attacks Matthew, but then Nicholas with a low blow to Flair. Young Bucks then attack Flair. Sting's music goes off. That alerts the Bucks, who try to meet him on the ramp. But just like old school Sting, he rappels down from the rafters of the arena, landing in the ring. He then meets them on the ramp with some bat shots. Darby Allin with a coffin drop. And then a scorpion death drop from Stinger. Oh boy, that was quite a segment. I've definitely missed Sting, like, rappelling from the rafters. That is just a nice little touch for Sting's last Dynamite. So, yeah, that was a very entertaining episode of AEW Dynamite. And, yeah, that'll do it for me. Coming up, we got Sunday, we got Revolution, in which I'll give you the results of the show. On Monday, then we also got, I'm going to also cover TNA Wrestling, which we'll get to that one. And more than likely just Collision, because tonight I'm going to go out for a little bit. So, yeah, I hope you all stay tuned. We got some really good stuff coming up. I can't wait to cover it. And until next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.